Last week, I showed you the tender. Today, I'm going to show you something different. Because here's the question I've been getting in the comments, in my LinkedIn messages, and from colleagues across the industry since that video went up. Great, but who actually supplies all of this? This tender, Ankara YHT Gar to Esenboğa Airport, tender number 2026/905403, is not one procurement. It is 15 separate technology ecosystems bundled into a single contract. TBMs, rigid catenary, CBTC signaling, SCADA, AFC faregates, platform screen doors, escalators, tunnel ventilation, fire suppression, and more. In the next 8 minutes, I'm going to walk you through every major subsystem, what the specification actually demands, and who globally is positioned to supply it. And I'll tell you at the end the one subsystem where the supply market is the tightest, and what that means for your program schedule if you are bidding this contract. Before we go system by system, let me make one thing clear. If you are a main contractor evaluating this bid, you are not going to self-supply 15 technology categories. You are going to build a supply chain. And the quality of that supply chain will determine whether you hit the 94% availability target during trial operations, or whether you are still in trial mode 6 months after your planned commercial opening date. If you are a Tier 1 supplier or a specialist subcontractor, this video is your market map. Every system I describe is a procurement opportunity. And if you are an investor or an operator watching this, understanding who supplies what tells you a great deal about the risk profile of this project. Let's go. System 1, tunneling. And this is where the project starts, literally. The specification calls for 62,272 meters of TBM drive on the main line. That is an EPB, Earth Pressure Balance machine requirement, through Ankara's mixed-face geology, clay, silt, and rock transitions. The contractor selects the machine. The contractor owns the program. Who supplies TBMs globally? The market is actually quite concentrated. Herrenknecht of Germany is the world market leader for heavy TBMs. Craig and CRCHI from China together control around 40% of global volume, with significant price advantages. Robbins in the US brings proven hard rock performance. NFM Technologies from France has Grand Paris Express and Barcelona Metro on its reference list. The decision isn't just about machine capability, it's about lead time, spare parts availability, and whether you can get a service team to Ankara when you need them. System 2, NATM tunneling for the depot connection. 414,000 cubic meters of excavation, 106,000 cubic meters of shotcrete, 40,000 rock bolts. Suppliers here are the specialist geotechnical names: Epiroc, Sandvik for drilling equipment, Sika and BASF for shotcrete admixtures and waterproofing, DSI and Ishabek Titan for ground anchors and bolts. System 3, power supply. 34.5 kilovolt ring network, 124 switchgear panels, transformers ranging from 630 kVA to 2500 kVA across 12 stations, 7 ventilation shafts, and the depot. The main players here are the names you know: Siemens Energy, ABB, Schneider Electric, all capable of full medium voltage and low voltage system delivery. System 4, and this one is technically fascinating, the rigid catenary system, 750 volts DC. Overhead rigid conductor rail, not a flexible catenary, but a rigid aluminium profile fixed to the tunnel lining. This is the technology that allows smaller tunnel cross-sections and eliminates the complexity of tensioned wire in underground environments. The global supply market for rigid catenary is actually quite narrow. Furr and Frey of Switzerland is arguably the world reference. Alstom Ferroviaria, through the Caraboni brand, is another Tier 1 supplier, with references in Sydney and Barcelona. Secheron handles the traction conversion substations, the rectifiers that convert 34.5 kV AC to 750 volts DC at 13 locations along the line. For bidders, the rigid catenary and traction power package is typically awarded as a single integrated supply. Get your preferred supplier locked in early. these are long lead items.
System 5, signaling. And if there is one system that defines the operational character of this metro line, this is it. The specification covers the complete signaling package, wayside infrastructure across 36 kilometers, station interlocking at 12 locations, depot signaling, and onboard train equipment for the new rolling stock. This is a CBTC, communication-based train control requirement. The system must support at minimum grade of automation 2, with the architecture capable of GOA 3. The global CBTC market is led by 4 players. Alstom, with its Urbalis platform, holds around 14% global market share. Siemens Mobility, their TrainGuard MT system, was just selected by HS2 in Britain as part of a $754 million contract. Hitachi Rail, which completed the acquisition of Feily's ground transportation systems in May 2024, now brings the CellTrack CBTC platform, which is being integrated with 5G communications for the first time on New York's Crosstown line. And Wabtec, formerly Bombardier Transportation, with the CityFlow series. CRSC, China Railway Signal and Communication, is the cost-competitive challenger in this market, particularly strong in developing economies. Nippon Signal and Indra round out the list of credible suppliers. One more thing on signaling. This is the system where integration risk lives. The signaling supplier needs to interface with the rolling stock manufacturer, the SCADA supplier, and the PSD supplier simultaneously. Get the interfaces defined early. That contract boundary is where projects go wrong.
Now, I'm going to accelerate through the next 4 systems, because each of them is a significant procurement in its own right. System 6, communications. And this is actually 7 systems inside one label. Fiber optic transmission network, IP telephony, radio, TETRA or DMR for train-to-ground communication, public address, CCTV, 12 stations plus the depot, clock system, access control, and the master SCADA system that ties everything together into the operations control center. The SCADA market here is dominated by Siemens and Alstom. For communications infrastructure, transmission, radio, fiber, Nokia's 5G rail platform is now active on 12 metro networks globally. Cisco's connected rail solution underpins a growing number of CBTC and ERTMS deployments. Huawei is the cost-competitive alternative, particularly in markets without strategic restrictions on Chinese vendors. For CCTV and access control, Bosch Security, Avigilon by Motorola Solutions, and Telesti are the metro specialized names. System 7. Automated fare collection. 81 tripod turnstiles, 13 flap barriers, 18 accessible gates, plus the central software platform. Cubic transportation systems. Scheidt and Bachmann, Omron, and Thales are the top-tier AFC suppliers. Note, Thales' AFC business is now fully integrated into its broader mobility division. ST Electronics from Singapore has Bangkok, Singapore MRT, and Guangzhou Metro on its reference list. System 8. Tunnel ventilation and station HVAC. Howden from the UK is the tunnel ventilation specialist. Systemair from Sweden is the energy-efficient alternative with strong metro references. For station air conditioning, Daikin Applied, Train, and Carrier for large-scale chiller plants. System 9. Fire alarm and suppression. This is a non-negotiable safety system. Siemens Building Technologies, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, and Bosch Security are the integrated fire safety suppliers. For gaseous suppression in electrical rooms, Kitty and 3M Novec are the technology leaders.
System 10. Escalators and elevators. The numbers in this tender are significant. 100 escalators, ranging from 4 meters to 22 meters rise height, and 70 elevators across 12 stations. The global market leaders are Kony, Schindler, Otis, and TK Elevator from ThyssenKrupp. For metro-specific escalator performance at 20-plus meter rise heights, Kony and Schindler have the deepest reference portfolios. Mitsubishi Electric and Hitachi are strong alternatives for APAC and MENA market-oriented bidders. System 11. Railway trackwork. 69,000 meters of direct fixation, ballastless slab track, 9,800 meters of ballasted track, and 72 turnouts and crossings.
Voslaw of Germany is the global leader in both rail fastening systems and switch systems. Pandrel from the UK is the specialist in embedded and ballastless track fastening. Their Q-Track system is a direct fixation reference. Voiced Alpine Railway Systems from Austria covers the full spectrum: rails, SKL fastening systems, and turnout components. System 12, depot equipment: underfloor wheel lathe, automatic train washing plant, bogie handling, lifting jacks, cranes, maintenance tooling. Rafamit and Hagenscheidt MFD lead on wheel turning. Robel and Placer and Thyrer for track maintenance tools. Windhoff for depot logistics equipment. System 13, platform screen doors. 12 stations, full height PSD integrated with the signaling system. Nabtesco of Japan is the world PSD leader with over 80 metro references. 5-lay transport, now part of Wabtec, is the European alternative. Manusa from Spain has a growing MENA reference list.
Now, let me give you my 30-year read on where the supply chain risks actually sit in this tender. Risk 1, TBM procurement lead time. Getting an EPB machine from order to delivery, especially in the current global demand environment, can be 18 to 24 months. If you win this tender in late 2026 and you haven't pre-positioned your TBM strategy, your program is already in trouble before a single meter of ground is broken. Risk 2, the CBTC rolling stock interface. The onboard signaling equipment needs to be specified jointly with whoever supplies the rolling stock for this line. That interface is not in this tender. It's a coordination dependency that lives outside the contract boundary. Miss it, and you will spend months in testing trying to resolve it. Risk 3, rigid catenary lead time. Furr and Frey and Alstom Ferroviaria are not building these systems off a shelf. Custom profiles, custom supports, project-specific installation tooling. These are 12 to 18-month lead items. Factor that into your procurement schedule. Risk 4, integration. SCADA needs to connect to traction power, ventilation, fire, lighting, PSD, and signaling simultaneously. I have seen projects where every individual system passed its standalone test, and the integrated system still took 6 months of rework to meet availability targets. Budget for that integration phase. Plan for it. And here is the one thing that most supply chain teams underestimate: the 10-year spare parts obligation. Every single supplier in this ecosystem, from the AFC gate manufacturer to the traction substation supplier, needs to commit to spare parts availability for a decade after final acceptance. That changes the supplier selection conversation from who is cheapest today to who will still be here in 2038. I promised you at the start, the one subsystem where the supply market is tightest. It is the rigid catenary system. Here is why. Unlike TBMs, where you can go to 5 or 6 credible manufacturers globally, the overhead rigid conductor rail market for metro applications is served by a very small number of qualified suppliers. Furr and Frey, Alstom Ferroviaria, a handful of others with partial capability. The reason is certification. Rigid catenary systems need to be type tested to EN 50367 and EN 50119 at the specific voltage and speed parameters of this project. Not every supplier has current certifications for 750 volts DC metro applications, and the ones that do have active order books. If you are building your bid for this tender and rigid catenary is in your scope, your first call should be to that supply base, not your last. Here is what I want you to do right now. Number 1, go back and watch video 1 of this series, the full tender breakdown, if you haven't already. The link is in the description. Number 2, download the full subsystem and supplier reference list I've compiled for this video. It covers all 15 systems, the specification requirements, and the complete global supplier map. Link is also in the description. Number 3, if you are a supplier in any of these technology categories and you are not yet in conversations with the potential main contractors for this project, that window is closing. The bid deadline is June 30, 2026. Number 4, subscribe. Every Thursday on RailCompass, I do exactly this. Take a major global project and break down who builds it, who supplies it, and where the real risks and opportunities are. Next week, we turn to the MENA region, a $4 billion metro expansion has just been confirmed, and the supply chain dynamics there are completely different from what we've covered today. Tender number 2026/905403. See you Thursday.